Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tin Man's Core Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. Today, I'll be reacting my third and final scary story Taylor channel for you all. And this one is spooky vibes. And the video that I'll be reacting to is 3 true Facebook horror stories. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here for you guys, and let's get this reaction on the road and in the bag, shall we? Okay, here we go.
Okay, so this story happened a few years ago.
Okay.
I was a late bloomer when it came to Facebook. I had a Twitter and a Snapchat, but never Facebook. It wasn't until my friends pretty much egged me on that I finally decided to get one. So I made my profile and started adding all my friends and family onto it. I'll admit, I actually liked Facebook better than all the other social media platforms.
I haven't got on Twitter or Snapchat, but I can tell you one thing, Facebook is a little bit more easier to manage, in my opinion. All you do is just sign up and create a page, post some stuff, and see if you got any friends in the area you want to add, start chatting back and forth. Because it seems like nowadays, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter tend to get more stalkers on it. Now, don't get me wrong, Facebook would have stalker people too, but not as much, is what I heard. But anyway, let's continue with this person's story and see what happens next.
But anyway, after I finally set up everything and added everybody that I wanted to add, I decided to go take a nap. It was a quick one, and maybe 15 minutes later after I woke up, I saw that I had a new Facebook friend request on my phone. I clicked on the profile. The name was Harold Fry. He was just a normal guy with a plain white t-shirt standing next to his car. I didn't recognize him and ended up just ignoring the request. About a half hour passed by, and I was downstairs working on some paperwork when I saw that I got another request from that same Harold guy on Facebook.
Oh, Lordy. Seems like you are experiencing a dude that really wants you to accept their friend request, but they will not stop until you do. At this point, I would just block them so he won't be able to send any more friend requests out to you or look you up on Facebook. But that would be creepy getting another friend request after you ignored him the first time.
I thought maybe I knew who he was because he kept on adding me. I decided to look at more of his photos. In all of them, he was just alone and standing in random places. But I definitely did not recognize or know who he was, so again, I declined the request. Later that night, as I was getting ready for bed, I was washing my face and brushing my teeth. I was almost ready to fall into bed when there was a loud knock on my door from downstairs. Now, for context, I do live alone and I am single. When the door knocked, it was around 11:30 at night. A little anxious at who could be knocking, I slowly went downstairs to check it out. I peeked out my blinds and turned on my porch lights. From my windows, I couldn't see anyone. I grabbed a bat and slowly opened my front door. There was no one there. I looked left and right and all up and down the streets. Nothing. But that's when I saw it. On my front steps was an envelope. Written in red ink was my name. I opened it, and inside were pictures. But not like normal pictures. It was almost as if someone had taken screenshots of the notifications of me rejecting that Harold Fry guy. Like, you know how on Facebook you get notifications about who accepts you and who posts? That's what the photos were. It was literally a screenshot of me rejecting the friend request, but from his end. I turned the photos over and saw something handwritten. It said, "I don't like rejection." I quickly shut my front door and made sure every window and door was locked inside.
How in the world did he find out where she lived at? Unless this guy was able to look her name up in the phone book and they'll have their address in there. Other than that, I don't have a clue. At this point, you better call the police right now, show them what you got evidence-wise, and see if they can trace that Daryl Fry dude on Facebook and see where he lives at, because that is just wrong that he would confront her like this, saying that they don't take rejections. She don't know you, dude. That's why she rejected you.
I can't prove this part, but I swear I saw it. As I was calling my friends for support on what to do, I started looking out my windows just to see if that Harold guy was stalking me out there. As I peeked out, I could have sworn that I saw this car parked almost a block over, with just a single man sitting in the front seat. From the distance, I couldn't make out any features clearly, but when I stared at it for like 5 minutes straight, the car turned on, blasted its high beams at me, and then drove off into the night. None of my friends, co-workers, or family members knew a Harold. I showed them the envelope full of screenshots that I received, and they all told me to go to the police. I did, but unfortunately, nothing has come of it. That Harold guy isn't on Facebook anymore, or maybe he just changed his name. Police told me if he makes contact again to reach out to them and let them know. So far, there's been no contact, and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, let's just hope, because it seems like he got the message that you probably would have been calling the cops on him, and he either changed his name on his profile or deleted it altogether. At this point, he might as well just give up on her, because it seems like he's the type of guy that don't like taking rejections. He might as well go to seek therapy instead of stalking this one particular girl. But I'm glad that she's okay and didn't get hurt violently. So let's get to story number 2.
So I'm actually ashamed to tell this story, but it happened. A few years ago, I got a friend request from a girl who I used to go to high school with. She was the popular girl, the one every guy wanted to be with. And when I was in high school, believe me, she never noticed me. Well, I get her friend request on Facebook and I accept it. Soon after I accept it, she sent me a Facebook message. She was asking how I was doing and how life was going. I was in complete shock. I started looking at her Facebook profile pictures and she was still as beautiful as ever. I did recently get a new job and was making decent money at the time, so maybe she saw that I was doing well in life and wanted to chat. And we started talking for a few days and actually started to bond really well.
You think you're starting to bond really well. You never know, that person just wanted to contact you just to see that you are making a lot of good money. They just want to hang out with you and try to rob you. You never know nowadays what could happen.
Then she finally asked me if we wanted to hang out, and I of course said yes. I told her that she could come over to my place that night because all my roommates will be gone for the weekend. And it was a Friday when we made these plans. I told her to come over at like 9 at night. I'll be honest, the whole time I was thinking that I was going to get some action that night. I've always had a crush on her, and I figured that this was my moment to make our relationship more than just platonic.
Well, I hate to tell you, pal, you never know, she might not have the same thing in mind.
We agreed on 9 p.m. that night, but when it was that time, I got no message from her. I would look outside and see there was no car parked out there or anyone standing there. Around 9:30, I sent her a Facebook message to see if she was okay and had the right address. I heard nothing from her until 10:15 that night. She messaged me back saying sorry that she was late. Something came up, but she was on the way. All my dread and fear was gone when she sent that. 10 minutes later, I got another message from her saying that she's out front. I went to my living room window and saw this Toyota Camry parked in my driveway. But the thing was, the high beams were blaring, and I couldn't see exactly who was sitting in the driver's seat. I messaged her to come through the front door. She responded saying, can I come out here first to help her with some of the wine that she brought for tonight? A little hesitant, I messaged back saying, okay, sure, and opened my front door. The second I opened my door, 2 men who were standing on either side of it pointed guns at me. I actually pissed myself.
I didn't even think about this. They got out of the car and snuck right near the front door, but when the high beams were on, he couldn't see none of that. At this point, I'll try to throw that door back and lock it quick before they push it in.
They told me to lay on the ground and cover my eyes. I did as I was told. I watched as they went into my apartment and started stealing everything. They took our TVs, our shoes, our game systems, our laptops, and even food from the fridge. When they had finally loaded up the car, the one man kicked me in the face and called me a dumbass. I watched as they backed out of my driveway and sped off. Even in my haste, I was still able to read and memorize the license plate. After the shock wore off, I called the police. It was a whole mess and situation. When my roommates found out, they were glad that I was okay, but all pissed as shit that I allowed myself to be duped by these guys. It turns out, the girl I went to high school with had her Facebook hacked. They had messaged hundreds of people, and I was one of the few who actually decided to meet up with them. And yes, I feel like a complete and total jackass for being that stupid. The police were able to trace the license plate, but it came back reported stolen. And even as I write this, whoever those men were are still at large with all of me and my roommate's possessions. I learned a very hard lesson that night. So please be warned, people. Use common sense, and don't be a dumbass like me.
That shows that he thought that a girl was coming, but he did not think about somebody possibly hacking another girl's Facebook. And he got duped into them forcing themselves in and stealing all the valuable stuff. And of course, the car was stolen. They wouldn't be dumb enough to drive their own cars in a situation like this, because then they would be found easier. Dadgummit, I hope if he gave them a good description of what they look like, the cops would be able to find them and hopefully track down all the gaming systems and other valuables that were taken before they sold them off for cash. But let that be a lesson to you all. And like you said earlier, don't be a dummy. Make sure the person you're talking to on Facebook is the person you expect meeting face to face and not no scam like this.
So I'll start this off with a warning. Please be very, very careful online. A little less than a year ago, I was still living in my parents' house. I was up in my room, working on my Etsy store, when I got a Facebook notification. I opened it up and saw that a guy by the name of Ron Ford was trying to add me as a friend. And I'll be honest, he was kind of cute. I started to look at his profile and everything, and even saw that he lived in the town over. And I figured, what the heck, he's cute, I'll add him and that would be it. But I was wrong. Almost the second I clicked accept, I received a Facebook message from him. He immediately goes into saying how beautiful I am, how wonderful it would be to see me in a bikini, and how he wished he could date me.
Okay, that's a creepy stalker right there for you. Nobody don't want to hear someone say they like to see them in a bikini. That tells you right there, that's all that person thinks about.
All the attraction that I had for him went straight out the window. I didn't respond to any of his messages, but he kept sending them. I mean, like, literally one after the other. It got to the point where I ultimately just ended up blocking him because how persistent and annoying he was. Well, a few days after that happened, I was home alone. My parents were at the grocery store getting food for dinner that night. I was in my room again, working on my Etsy shop, when there was a knock at the door downstairs. It was about midday at this point. I went down the stairs and to the front windows to see who was knocking. I looked out the window and saw this guy standing there in an Amazon vest with a box in his hand. I was about to go and open the door when I suddenly recognized the guy. It was that Ron Ford guy who I had blocked a few days ago on Facebook. Then I looked out into the street. I didn't see any Amazon delivery van or anything.
Oh crap, he probably figured out how to find you and disguise himself as an Amazon Prime delivery guy just to get you open up that door.
It was literally just him standing at my door with a box. I was very anxious. I called my dad and told him the situation. He said they'll be home in 15 minutes, and if he doesn't leave in 5, then call the police. We hung up, and I continued to watch this Ron guy stand at my door. I was about to dial 911 when he put the box down at the door and then just walked away. I tried to follow and see where he was going, but he walked too far and turned a corner. He also never got into any sort of delivery car. When I figured the coast was clear and it was safe to open the door, I did. At the door was a plain brown box that he was holding. At the top of the box was a sticky note that said, "To my first and last name." I hesitantly opened the box. Inside was every single one of my Facebook photos on these Polaroid film strips. And I mean every photo that I've ever posted on Facebook. There were hundreds of them. At the very bottom was another sticky note which had his name and phone number on it. It said to call him. I did not call him. What I did do was call the police and hand him the box and everything that he dropped off. This Ron Ford guy ended up getting a restraining order placed on him, and he's not allowed within 100 yards of my house. He made some lame excuse about how in love we both are, but I promise you, that's the farthest thing from the truth. Ever since police got involved, I haven't seen him since. I've blocked him on all social media platforms. So Ron, please stay the hell away from me for the rest of my life. Thank you, and good day.
Yeah, I hope he does not show up again. But thank God she called the cops and gave them all them Polaroids of her photos off of Facebook, because that guy clearly has a obsessive stalking disorder against her. But don't worry, if he does show up again and she calls the cops, he's going to jail. He was stupid enough to give his phone number. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more spooky vibes related content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I said that's a wrap, and have a nice day.